So, it's horror remake time. We've had Halloween, David Gordon Green's version
That's
of
the
the
one.
film Halloween. Um, uh, and we've also got Suspiria.
Yay.
Surely there must be another one, or is that it for this year?
There's probably been several so far, but we're probably just not thinking of them. It's funny you mentioned David Gordon Green, because apparently at one point he was attached to direct a Suspiria reboot.
I can't imagine it would have been as good as this, but
Probably not, no. I mean, judging by the passable results of the Halloween 2018 remake, sequel, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
Yeah, be equal.
okay. But yeah, anyway, there's a new remake of Suspiria, released timely about a month after Halloween, so
Yeah.
too late to get that horror crowd. It's a remake of the 1977 masterpiece by, what's he called, Dario Argento.
Yeah.
I would argue probably, have you seen any of his other films?
No, but I have several of them on Blu-ray to watch.
Oh,
Like, I've heard Inferno's worth a watch.
the problem with every other film that I've seen, a few of them. I've seen The Bird with the Crystal Plumage,
Yeah.
Inferno. I've seen one he did at Tenebrae, Tenebrae maybe. The problem is that the rest of them are like there's nothing to them other than the kill moments, and they have a lot of padding to get to that point. Suspiria is probably the most pure film he did because as you've. Spoiler alert for anyone who's not seen Suspiria, it's pretty much just murder, 10 minutes of atmospheric build up, murder. It's not too wordy, it's not anything like that.
Yeah, I mean with Suspiria, I kind of describe it as where the phrase all style no substance is thrown quite a lot.
Yeah.
See, I think with Suspiria it's to the point where the style forms the substance. If you know what I mean. It's not like it's they're not building it up where it's this kind of flashy, beautiful looking film with nothing to it. It's but the style helps to inform actually what's going on in the film, and because I was talking about it with Grace Papana today ahead of the remake, of basically just what a simple plot the original is. It's basically just girl goes to ballet school, the ballet is won by witches, she escapes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. But you've got to fill up your movie with a bit of something. So you've kind of got this amazing visual language, which helps to form a lot of what goes on in the film, which is really interesting in direct comparison to this film. So I suppose
Few points of reference, I suppose, maybe first. The film is an hour longer than the original.
Yeah.
So it's 2.5 hours over the 90 minutes of the original. Set in the same place, Germany, that the original was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's right, yeah.
It's much more, I would say, well, it takes a lot longer for anyone to get killed in it. I think it's pretty obvious. I think the film's probably the original's over by the time someone gets killed in this one.
So it's a bit like a remake of King Kong.
Yes.
They bloody killed half the cast in the original 70s movie.
Exactly. I hate it when they build stuff up. I don't know about you, but they just get to it. That's what I say.
And if enough of the foreplay, just get to the kills. That's what I want in my horror film.
Well, I want remakes to ideally be shorter than the original because they just get rid of the boring stuff. So maybe if it was a YouTube video, maybe half an hour long. Of just murder and stuff.
It's split into 10 parts and stuff, and
or maybe 2-minute parts with a cliffhanger everywhere, just so you didn't get bored. But no, it's very artful. It's probably one of the few remakes to be much more difficult than the original.
That's really true. Yeah, that's really true. Yeah.
It gets rid of a lot of the sort of the pleasures of the original and replaces them with just sort of ambience and atmosphere.
That's kind of one of the interesting things that when I recently rewatched the original, because you kind of have to grapple with the fact that this is a really beautiful film, but at the same time, kind of misogynist.
Oh, definitely. There's the scene later on where she's writhing in it's like fencing, isn't it?
Yeah. Because you've got to think that all this beautiful staging and all this beautiful cinematography is basically in aid of telling a film about a story where a bunch of women get brutally murdered. And you kind of have to get past that a bit. I mean, I definitely would argue it's not as bad as some other films from the era.
Oh yeah, like some of the Giallo, is it pronounced?
Giallo.
Yeah, some of them are just pure, like, just takes so long for anything to get going, and like the way that the women get killed is even more like luxurious than it is in like. I think Suspiria is kind of more disturbing, and you've got the soundtrack instead of lush, it's kind of how. So basically, the original soundtrack's famous for having like it's basically a bunch of like boom 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 drums and like screaming over the top of it.
Yeah, it's very proggy. It's very atmospheric.
By the band Goblin.
Goblin, yeah. Who were actually at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year.
Oh, okay.
Performing a 2.5 hour set, just performing music from the album and getting into like freeform improv.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen that one, but they only did one show out of like the 28 days of the Fringe, and you know we weren't there for the day we were. But if I was there, that was a bit definite.
Have you ever seen, by the way, the version of Dawn of the Dead with the Goblin soundtrack?
I've not. No, I've got it. I think it's on the Arrow Blu-ray box set.
Yeah, it's one of the like 3 versions on that, I think.
Yeah, but I've not. But see, I think in that film, I kind of like the soundtrack the way it is. I like the heavy synthesized soundtrack, but I mean, yeah, Goblin does good music based on Suspiria, so I imagine it's very good.
Yeah. Well, we've spent a lot of time not talking about the new version. The View version is probably closer this is a comparison a lot of people have made to Mother than to the original Suspiria.
I can see that, yeah.
Because it's been just as divisive. Well, it's probably gotten slightly better reviews than Mother. It sits around the sort of 60 rather than sort of 40%.
Yeah.
But it is similarly kind of like long, drawn out, beautiful to look at, and more based on like ambience and atmosphere than sort of thrills and and I think safe to say a better film than Mother.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I suppose first thing, did you enjoy the film, Chris?
I love it. I mean, I'd probably rank it in the top 5 films I've seen this year. Maybe even the best I've seen this year so far. I've not quite decided yet.
I think it's as good as First Reformed or Phantom Thread.
I preferred it to both of them.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I think I liked it a bit better. I suppose it's just because it's more. I suppose it's just because it's more my area of interest. Yeah. I love seeing an artfully done horror film. I mean, Phantom Thread and First Reformed are like modern classics. Like, I think you just can't argue with that. But for me personally, I might even put Suspiria above them. Mm-hmm. I loved it. Just one of my personal preferences, but I loved it. Like, I just thought everything about it was just brilliant. Like, start to finish, like really interesting characters, really interesting way that they appropriate and change the setting of the original. Do really interesting ways they decide to shoot the film as well. Like, you know, actually no. Before I get into specifics, what did you think of it?
Similar. I'd probably say third best after those two. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it feels like a film and all. It's like surprising considering the source material, really relevant to now as well. Like thematically, it feels like it's tackling things that are quite sort of relevant for. It doesn't feel like a remake of a 70s film. It feels perfectly relevant and like personal now. I think Tilda Swinton and Dakota Johnson is the illustrious cast member from 50 Shades of Grey. They're both absolutely excellent in it. Never drags, considering it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Great Tom York soundtrack.
Oh, amazing Tom York soundtrack. Yeah. In fact, as we were leaving our screening in home in Manchester, they had the soundtrack on vinyl available to buy, and I was like, oh, do I go for it? Because it is a beautiful soundtrack, but we'll get into the specifics as kind of we get there. I guess it's time for specifics.
Yeah. So I think that sort of what the film is trying to deal. So basically, sort of some of the plot, it's very similar to the first one in general outline. There's a coven of witches who run a girls' academy for dance in Germany.
And that's the first major difference, is that it's not a twist.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in the original film, that's pretty much the only plot surprise, is that actually this ballet school that Susie Bannion's gone to is run by witches, and that's the twist. So most people going into Suspiria in 2018 for his remake, they're going to know that the film's about witches already. And the film is pretty upfront about the fact that there's witches involved, which I guess in some regards makes it similar to one of my other favourite horror films about witches, my beloved The Witch.
The Witch, yeah.
Where it kind of creates this boiling pot thing where you've seen the bomb underneath the table.
Yeah.
You know that there's a witch involved who's manipulating things behind the scene and you're waiting for it all to explode over. And it's kind of similar in this film.
Yeah.
Where it's quite upfront about the supernatural element, while the original Suspiria doesn't really come out until the end. So that's the first major difference, but...
Well, I think that plays into sort of why the film is longer. So the film, as I said, it's 2.5 hours long. It gets a lot into sort of nitty-gritty of the politics of the sort of witches and how they run things.
Yeah.
Like, we actually see sort of a voting process. Like, a very early scene is that they're electing who's going to be the sort of mother who runs the whole thing. So they go for the one that's not Tilda Swinton, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. We see a lot more of that side of it. So then the plot basics of it is she goes to this school. That's like that sort of runs in tandem to the he's a doctor, isn't he? The other Tilda Swinton character.
He's a psychologist, and he basically interviews someone who's run away from the ballet school. She's called Patricia. Is the way to say it. Yeah, so Patricia is played by Chloe Grace Moretz. She's run away from the ballet school and...
acclaimed actress from the Carrie remake.
Yeah. A holdover from the disaster of Kick-Ass 2.
Mm-hmm.
The woman who's got a career. No, she runs away from the ballet school and the doctor basically tries to... He's investigating into what's going on in this... witch coven because he wants to, find out more about his patient, find out what's happening. Really interestingly as well, the film pits it in a very, very fascinating setting. I love the way that they repurpose the dancing school from this... It's kind of an artistic concept called Europe of Our Dreams.
Yeah.
So, like, pre-World War II, like even like a whole concept, maybe what Europe would be like if World War II didn't happen, which is, I feel like, the setting of the first film. It's very fairy tale like the first film. Yeah. This one is squarely set in not the contemporary, but very recent history. So we're in 1977 Berlin.
Yeah. East and West are divided by a wall.
An actual wall.
Yeah.
Built by an actual government who actually did it. Which is kind of crazy to think that is still fairly recent history.
Well, only 1989 the wall actually fell down, wasn't it? So,
yeah, 1989. And that's, again, that makes for such a wonderful contrast to the original film because with that original film, as I said, it's a very fairy tale like setting. As I said, it's almost like Europe of Our Dreams. If World War II never happened, you've kind of got this great Gothic architecture that's not been destroyed.
Yeah.
This film, it's squarely in like the drab of that kind of like the I think of like that Soviet look.
Yeah.
Really drab, wintry colours. So right off the bat, you've got this really interesting tonal dissonance where you've got kind of this weird witch coven supernatural storyline going on with the very real life history of the Berlin Wall, which I have read some people criticising that element.
What, the Berlin Wall element?
Yeah, like it doesn't contribute much to like the story.
So I don't get that.
I don't get it at all. Yeah, because like thematically, it's great.
Yeah.
Because it's you're not only setting up the whole concept of there being just a divide in the city, but then it also actually does play into the plot as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got a divide in the actual coven of witches themselves, where they've all got different ideas on what they want to do. Different people want to become the vessel for Mother. People have got very different ideas on how they should go about doing the plan.
The main character is divided within herself as well. It's like coming of age story as well.
Yeah.
Which is different from the original, where let's be honest, there's no characters in the original.
There is no character in the original, and Susie Bannion in the original is as great as she is, because she is good for a female character in a G. Lau film like that. Susie Bannion is definitely one of the better ones, but yeah, you're right. There is no real character there. She's just the innocent, which again, this remake really plays on that.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. She's called, confusingly for this, she's called Susie Bannion in this as well, but we'll call her Susie 18 or something. I don't know.
Call her Dakota Johnson's character.
Dakota Johnson's character, yeah, okay.
So she'll be Dakota Johnson for 2018, and then Susie Bannion will be 77. There we go.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Okay. So Dakota Johnson's character is, she enters into the story as an innocent, and we learn that she actually comes from, the word escaped me. That weird sect of Christianity where...
What, the 7-day Adventist? What, like Mormons? Or?
No, it's not Mormons, it's, fuck. We can cut around this part while we're trying to remember it.
We'll come back to that, but yeah, she's from some weird sort of sect of Christianity.
Yeah, it's like it's separate to they live separate. Amish.
The Amish.
That's it. Yeah. So
like a pure innocent then.
Yeah. So Dakota Fanning's character comes from
Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Johnson's character. This whole section's been a disaster. Dakota Johnson's character comes from an Amish background.
Yeah.
So again, you're instantly playing on the whole idea that she is an innocent of some kind, and
yeah.
Well, plot developments happen, and I don't know. I suppose we might as well say spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers going ahead. If you've not watched the film, it's highly recommended. It's incredibly good. It's as good as any Suspiria remake should be.
And probably, way better than any it deserves to be, I think, definitely.
I think it's better than the original, to be honest.
I think it probably is, the more I think about it.
Yeah, like, it does so many clever things with the... Well, we'll get into sort of some of the thematic stuff. I think it is actually a good comparison with Mother, the disastrous 2017 Darren Aronofsky film. Because, well, that film, I think they both have sort of a similar thematic thing about being sort of about the creation of art and the toll it takes on sort of people at the bottom.
Okay.
So, Mother is about Jennifer Lawrence's sort of suffering at the hands of Javier Bardem's character. And this film, I think, you constantly see sort of the creation of art being contrasted. Whenever they do, like, a dance routine, it's sort of contrasted and edited in with the death of somebody else.
Yeah.
So probably the one that's going to be the most famous is this excellent scene where they're practicing the dance and Dakota Johnson does it and her moves are contrasted with someone else who is sort of possessed by her and it sort of rips her apart.
Yeah, like contorts
the body and like the bones break, sort of the jaw rips apart kind of stuff.
That scene was when the first one. That's when I was convinced that I loved this film.
Yeah,
because it's just so you want it just to cut, just end, but it just goes on and on and on, and it's such a well done scene, and just when you think it, like all you want is for this poor girl just to
be spared,
just to die, like to put her out of her misery, but like she's still like gasping on to somehow still gasping on to life, and it's horrible to watch. But it's a great scene, and that's one of the things that I really like about this compared to the original is that I really like the emphasis on the ballet side, which is an element in the original, but it's not really fully like explored. I love how visceral like the dances are. Like they actually do feel like it's really hurting them to do it. Like, and again, it really works in well with obviously what is actually going on. Like. This dance is actually a form of possession where people who oppose the witch coven are basically being, contorted through dance. It's so fucking weird.
It is, and like a description of it sounds campy, but it really isn't.
It's really not. Yeah, like but it's really expertly handled. It's it never goes into like over the top.
Yeah.
Well, it is very over the top, but like it's never like silly.
It's never camp or anything. It feels within the universe that they've created to be like perfect. It's all of a piece with what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You buy into everything that's sort of happening in it. But like in like Mother, where like it was just completely on the nose, nothing worked. Like everything was sort of it was dull as well and repetitive. This film, like it builds up really well because it has something it's aiming towards, which is the actual performance of the dance.
Yeah,
so it's got that going for it. You actually feel sort of what the themes are rather than having it just shown or spoken to you.
Yeah.
Like you feel sort of the pain of Tilda Swinton in having to sort of have to sacrifice the Dakota Johnson sort of character. I think that's supposed to be the tension within the film.
Yeah.
Rather than any kind of like who's going to get killed or anything, it is based on the relationship between well, Tilda Swinton's main character and Dakota
yeah.
Johnson's character. And like you actually care about the characters as well. Basically, this is a good film where Mother is terrible, and the comparisons between Mother and this, which have already started, are not really fair because this film is it's what Mother should be, I think.
Definitely, and plus as well, like with Suspiria works, Suspiria 2018 works in comparison to Mother because Mother's biggest problem is that it's all allegory and nothing else. Like, there's no substance to it. While you can watch Suspiria 2018 and enjoy it just as a slow burn, really creepy horror film.
Yeah.
And if you buy into the thematic elements, then that's a whole other layer to enjoy the film on. But if you just want to enjoy it as just a kind of really creepy, slow burn horror film with some like historical context to it, then it really works on that level as well, I think.
Like you can actually care about like the characters and what's going to happen to them, and like it's actually an effective like. I always think in Mother, like the worst scene is the bit where Javier Bardem reads his poem, and it cuts to the house being like blown apart because it's so beautiful. No one can ever like you can't see it, but here you actually see what they are creating as well. So it gives some of the weight to sort of what's being done in the name of the dance as well. Like you actually and the dance scenes in this are stunningly directed. It reminds me of, to get completely off point, when we were talking about The Apple, we were talking about what a bad musical direction is like, which is where it's really boring and you just shoot from far away. And
like you do your master shot and then occasionally going for a close-up, but you stick to your master and that's it.
But this is like, you just get such a kinetic feel from the way it's edited and directed that you feel like you're in the room sort of watching it.
And the amazing sound editing as well, because every slap of like of someone's hand like on the floor, or every move to the left or move to the right, you feel it, and it's really visceral. Everything, all the sound effects are so over the top, like in the dance party. Even like them pulling like the curtains, like drawing the curtains, it sounds really violent. Like it's to get you into that mind frame. But there's definitely something more to this than it's just a very aggressive dance, which is the great thing,
it draws you into this sort of like, this is a film also of world building, and like it's a great one where you don't really understand sort of completely what's going on, but you don't really care because you're getting shown it in such a sort of sensual way. Like you just sort of get driven into sort of the
I mean my thing with that is, if with quote unquote things not making sense, is as long as it makes sense like on an emotional level.
That's what I mean. Because like, you can understand it like that.
Well, something like Mothers, you're not really invested in the characters. Stuff's just happening, I guess, and you kind of just go along for the ride. Whether that ride's good or not is down to you, but you're not invested in the story. But even like when we get to the end, which just goes off completely off the rails, you're still invested in the characters. Which is the best thing about it.
God, who thought you'd be able to say that about a Suspiria remake?
I know, because they're all so disposable in the original film.
I
mean, the thing is that I'm trying to think of anything that I missed from the original that I kind of wish was in the remake. But for the most part, I'm pretty much fine with everything that they did. Like, it bookends the original film quite nicely. It's the best kind of remake where like it plays upon your knowledge of the original. And it quite quickly subverts it. But it also works if you've not seen the original. You can enjoy it just as an extended piece, if you know what I mean. You can just enjoy it for what it is, which is a superbly well-made horror film. Yeah, well,
that is the best kind of remake as well. And I feel like it is commenting on sort of what's problematic about the original as well.
Definitely.
Like, we were talking about how, it is sort of misogynistic, and like it's got all these problems that are inherent to sort of the 70s Jaleo genre of being, we still don't know how to pronounce it, which was basically just women getting sort of massacred on screen kind of thing,
but making it look really beautiful.
Which, it's similar to the criticism people have like Hitchcock or something, but I don't think it's done like Hitchcock is quite clever, because like Vertigo or something, like, or Psycho, I think it's commenting on that as well. Like, you're supposed to think that Scotty in Vertigo is a creepy freak who, like...
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
He's not a likeable character, but I think the JLo ones aren't, like, as clever. They are not, like the original Suspiria, there's no kind of, like, subtext to it, or, like, there's not a meta commentary on what's happening. It is just beautiful. I mean, that's interesting in and of itself, I suppose. Like, it makes you think about what you're seeing. Well, a clever person would. I'm sure there are people who watch the original and go, like, yay, when, like... But like, you feel so much, like, the pain of, like, the people that get killed in this. Like, I don't think anyone could watch this and be like, oh yeah, this is fun watching these. Like,
yeah, it's hard to watch. Yeah. Especially when you're starting to get invested in, I think, I'm just going to call her Susie Banning 2018 because the actress's name is
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson. Dakota Fanning.
Who's not in the film.
Dakota Johnson. Yeah, well, like, her friend is, like, she's kind of starting to put the pieces together, what's going on. And there's an awful scene where she kind of, basically, Dakota Johnson's friend starts to piece together what's going on with the witch coven. She kind of goes deep down to the basement and makes an unfortunate discovery where she finds poor Chloe Grace Moretz, who's essentially been zombified in a contorted state. And then when she's walking away, I know she falls into a pit of some kind, like a shallow pit, and she kind of like cracks like it's really hard to watch. She sorry, I keep forgetting I'm doing this as part of a podcast now. I'm not part of YouTube, so I can't visually show you. But yeah, she cracks part of a leg like in like a shallow pit. Yeah, like the bone sticking out, and like the screams. It's awful. It's so hard to watch. Where she's screaming and like there's nothing pretty about it. There's nothing beautiful about it. It's just awful. It's just painful to watch. And then worse still, they kind of fix her up through, the witches kind of fix her up through some magic doohickey. And then we force her to perform under the influence of their magic. It's just, it's awful to watch. That's the hardest one, I think.
Yeah, well, there's only, it's amazing that this film is like 2.5 hours long. It only has like really 3 big scenes of like action in it. Like, there's the 2 murders and the sort of insane like conclusion.
The massacre.
Yeah, but I think you feel so, like, my favourite scene in it isn't any of those. It's there's like a small scene in it. Do you remember the one where it's just Tilda Swinton and her alone and they're sort of practicing doing the jump?
Oh yeah, and that's
like
great.
The score builds up so well in that, and you sort of feel sort of like the relationship between the two develop.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a beautiful scene, I think. And this is what I mean. Like, it's such a great film because you don't even. It's all these little moments that make it sort of what it is. Like, more than just the sort of like like just a simplistic remake of Suspiria. It feels like something new. Yeah.
I mean, like the director kind of said, like, you know, he'd wanted to remake Suspiria from pretty much like the first time he saw it. So he's obviously, this is something he's been cooking up for, well, decades.
Yeah.
You know, like thinking about how we'd do it, and major props to him. I don't know how he pulled it off, but
I'm surprised that this actually got made, because it's like, you try and explain this to some like producers. I can't imagine that they're like, well, Amazon Studios weirdly made.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, like Amazon Studios seem pretty okay in terms of bankrolling.
Peter Lou was bankrolled by them. Yeah,
I think Manchester by the Sea was distributed for
Amazon
Studios.
That's a great film, and that was made by them. Loads of great ones.
Yeah, like well, especially in comparison to Netflix. Amazon Studios actually do bankroll into making good films.
They've not given a 6-film deal to Adam Sandler yet,
which we've yet to see the other 4 from that deal.
Ugh. Well, I think Amazon Studios picks a lot of stuff up at festivals, and this wouldn't have been. This would have been like a big production they've done. But a lot, like Manchester by the Sea was famous, was like a pick up at a festival. So I think that they're like picking up intentionally like independent stuff and trying to. Well, they do a lot of that sort of micro targeting as well. Like, they picked up a James Baldwin documentary. I don't know if you know who James Baldwin is. He was like he's like a sort of black writer in America who wrote about like the black experience. And they marketed it heavily to sort of a black audience and made like a lot of money there. Okay. So I think they know what niche audiences want as well and stuff. So I think they're trying to cater towards that.
Because you couldn't imagine a Suspiria remake being done under like a 20th Century Fox, for example.
Quantum Dune would do it well.
Yeah, Michael Bay's production company.
Yeah.
God.
What did you about that? Before we get to the conclusion, which I think should be the conclusion of the podcast, what did you think of the sort of element where Tilda Swinton plays the male doctor, the psychiatrist?
I didn't know it was Tilda Swinton until the end of the film. I mean, something was bothering me about him because like it seemed that like his German dialogue wasn't sinking to his lips. Yeah, and I was like, are they trying to do like an intentional callback to the original where a lot of that film was overdubbed?
Yeah.
Like, is it like a cute callback to that? Or am I just reading into it too much? And no, as it turns out,
it's Tilda Swinton.
It's Tilda Swinton, and that was explained why he was so off. Yeah, Tilda Swinton also plays one of the high-ranking members of a witch coven at the conclusion of the film, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, again, great, because, yeah, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Didn't think about it.
I think as well, like, from a thematic level, that's supposed to be like a kind of parody of the idea that character would come in and save everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, well, there's one line of dialogue that's like makes it really obvious where like so basically like this psychiatrist is like trying to put everything together, and then like two of the witches just pick him up and drag him to the actual like where the conclusion is, and I think they actually say, don't they, like, you know, we don't need you to sort of say like there's some line of dialogue that makes it quite obvious. I think that character is supposed to be like a meta commentary on the idea that there would be like a male psychiatrist who would come in and save Susie Bannion from the thing. Yeah. That's how I interpret it anyway. I don't know if you had a different reading of it or
maybe even just like nitpicky assholes like on the internet, just being like, you know, but someone with like a voice of reason and logic, like, well, I pieced together what's going on here, and the film's like,
there is no piecing together.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But it's not what's kind of not what's important. Yeah, so it's like a really logical minded person who's investigating the mystery, and he's piecing it together, and there's going to be a scene like at the end of Psycho where it's like, you know, Norman Bates was a troubled mind, you know, like Susie Bates was a troubled mind. Sorry, Susie Bannion was a troubled mind. She didn't know from a young age that she was actually a witch. Like, you can imagine it, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it'd be terrible. But
the film completely forgoes that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably my takeaway from it. Like, again, that whole meta commentary kind of thing.
Yeah, of sort of what this character would be in a traditional remake.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he would come in and he'd be Donald Pleasance in Halloween, where he'd like shoot the witch so she could escape. Like,
the Dr. Loomis of Suspiria. Yeah.
And like he and all has the backstory where so I watched this about 2 weeks ago at the Leeds Film Festival. Actually got, you know, but before it came out, you know, just a little bit of cred there. But anyway, like,
did you get that?
Okay, but anyway, the backstory is that he wasn't able to rescue his love from sort of the division of the wall. So she's in East Germany, is it? Or like she's actually played by the original Susie Bannion as well.
It goes back deeper than that.
Is it World War II?
Yeah,
concentration camp.
She was using a concentration camp. Yeah, because he has his Aryan papers out at the end.
Yeah.
It goes further than that. She was, I think they got separated because he's from Poland.
Yeah.
And he was helped out by, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because he was helped out by a police officer who he randomly meets, and basically he tries to get his police officer to investigate into the witch coven at the ballet school. But he's like, oh yeah, by the way, you helped me to escape Poland. You probably don't remember.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, nope.
Oh, that's the bit with the knob shot, isn't it, as well? Yeah, where he goes to investigate the...
yeah. That's a weird scene. That's a good scene. But yeah. So he basically got separated from his partner during kind of the whole Holocaust stuff. Because there's a great scene at the end where Dakota Johnson's character, she comes in and tells him actually what happened to his wife. What happened to her, and it turns out she dies in a concentration camp. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So,
which again, I think is supposed to be showing how like ineffectual this character is, and that they can't do anything basically to help these people who need like, or even she even says, doesn't she, to Johnson in that they don't really, that like, you know, they don't need his help kind of thing from
pretty much.
Yeah. So it's really clever, and like I wonder why Tilda Swinton plays that male character. Then I wonder if it is just in further type of kind of like moving away from that kind of character being like
Tilda Swinton wanted a challenge.
Wanted a challenge, so yeah.
As if playing a challenging character anyway isn't enough. She wanted to play like 2 potentially challenging characters. Challenging as in one of them she's going to wear full male makeup. I don't know.
It's excellent anyway. So yeah, we'll get to the conclusion then. So it all builds up to this insane conclusion where the witches sort of like, they're going to sort of kill Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
Then she totally turns the tables around and like just massacres them, and their like heads explode, and it goes into a full Tom York musical number. And,
that's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, but as the first twist of the film is that the witches, through a division, have decided that they want to basically put one of the head of their orders into the body of Susie Bannion, believing that by doing this they'll be able to bring back Suspiria, who's like one of the mythical 3 witch mothers of legend. You know, there's a lot of quite geeky world building in the film, which I liked as well.
Well, just for reference, the original Suspiria is part of a trilogy of films about the 3 mothers. Inferno's the second part. The third one is the one with Jennifer Connelly that I have no idea.
It came out years later, I think.
It came out in the mid-80s, so they were
let me check.
Oh no! Yeah, you're right. Mother of Tears is the one that's the. There's Suspiria. Yeah, the Jennifer Connelly one, just some random film. I think Mother of Tears came out 2007.
Yeah, that's like the last one.
Yeah. Apparently not as good as Inferno and Suspiria. No. As bad as everything else Dario Argento made after like the 80s, and I hear his career takes some dodgy turns as it goes along.
Great.
Like he made a film actually called Jaleo about I think that is actually the official. I think I've heard it spoken as Jaleo before by Dario Argento himself.
If he says it, then it's probably legit.
He made like a detective film called Jaleo with Adrian Brody in it. That apparently is just. Oh, he did the appalling Dracula 3D as well.
Oh yeah, God.
With the guy who looks like Liam Neeson. Anyway, we're getting away from the. So yeah, the original is part of 3. Would you watch Luca? The guy who made this, would you watch his version of Inferno?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah,
I think this film's gonna flop, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, like, I saw it like on general release. I saw it in an art cinema. It was on the smallest screen at home. It was like a 30-seater.
Oh Jesus! How many people were there?
It was packed. It was sold out.
Right, yeah.
It was like it's the only time I've ever been told. For going to go see a film, like, the doors will open at 5. You need to be here before then to get good seats. Like, so we kind of had to be there a bit earlier. But yeah, I saw it in like in a pretty major city. Like, it's pretty much the only showing in Manchester is at home. It might be in some general runs around, but
it's at a View.
Yeah, but there's not a View near me.
Yeah.
I think.
But I mean, that's like a major cinema, though.
Yeah. But it's just still, my point being is that even in nationwide cinemas, I think it's pretty limited.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to...
it's not going to light the box office.
I think it's going to be a bit of success on video on demand.
You think?
Which is why it's been doing like a dual release, I believe.
All right, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're doing a dual release, so it's coming out in cinemas like this weekend, and then they're going to do video on demand either now or fairly soon after.
That to me though seems like I watched this at the town hall in Leeds.
Oh yeah.
And like the sound system in there is stunning. Like it's this big massive. I watched 2001 again in there.
Oh, I saw that a couple of years ago. Yeah.
And how amazing is the sound in that? It's deafeningly loud.
It definitely suits more atmospheric stuff.
Yeah.
Like because we saw Heat a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the problem there was it's such a loud film, and explosions were just echoing around the hall, and I think the effect was lost. But yeah, for like atmospheric stuff like Suspiria, like 2001, it's great. They need to watch it in definitely.
Yeah, because I actually watched Heat again like the year after that in like a small cinema, and that sounded amazing. But yeah, it needs to be done in. It's for stuff like this where you have like a loud soundtrack going through it, not too much because dialogue comes like at that cinema at like when it's like that and all, it becomes a bit muffled because you get like the echo effect as well. Oh, only 20 million budget, it probably will make money back.
Hopefully it does, yeah. I mean,
20 million. It looks better than like 200 million. It looks better than like Avengers, which cost 300 million.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, just looking at kind of where I live in the northwest, like, yeah, it's got a couple of showings in and around Manchester. Then the nearest ones after that are like far off venues like in Sheffield, Leeds, Cheshire Oaks, which is like a big shopping centre, like near here. There's quite a lot there. That's a View Cinema, but yeah, point being that like it's not a massive release, and yeah, as I said, let me check the video on demand thing because.
I can't believe that 20 million budget though. Looking at it, I would have guessed more close at like at least 50.
Yeah.
Like it just looks beautiful. Like.
Yeah. God. Script 5.
Like you're getting all these like hot. There were a review I saw then like that. So we just googled the film and it said, "Well, not an atrocity on the level of Rob Zombie's Halloween."
Oh my god! Even people. That's the thing because like the problem with the internet is that like it's so eager to. Like I just saw stuff of them where it was like breaking down the scores of the film. Like plot is a 7, like the script a 5. It's like how do you rate that? I mean like the average score of a film is a 7.2.
Yeah.
It's like that's not how you watch films.
Well, no, it's a whole experience, isn't it?
It's like you ever heard of the phrase better than some of its spare parts, of which Suspiria 2018 has no spare parts. It's just a good experience. But what do you want? What do you want, internet?
Well, I think a lot of people just aren't ready to take in what the film's trying to do. Like, I think you'll either be expecting the original, or like it'll be like, oh, what's this trying to say? Like,
yeah.
It does like shoot for big game kind of thing. It's doing a lot of stuff at the same time. It's a horror. It's an atmospheric horror film. It's a coming of age story.
Yeah.
It's like a deep world building exercise in trying to create the sort of mythology for like these 3 witches.
Yeah.
It's like all these different things. It's a socio-political drama about living in sort of Germany at the time.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's like a million things going on at the same time.
I mean, it also has to try and be a remake of Suspiria.
Yeah.
Like at the end of it all, yeah.
Anyway, the original question: would you watch the same director do it, taking on Inferno? Would you watch I'd watch a sequel to this.
Yeah,
I'd watch it in a heartbeat. Like.
Yeah, definitely. I'd more than happily watch it. What was it? Yeah, we were talking about the ending, weren't we?
Oh yeah, the ending. You were sort of trying to sum it up a bit.
Yeah. Crikey, yeah. So yeah, anyway, yeah. So that was it. Because we started talking about the 3 witches, and then we talked about the trilogy, and then we ended up looking at showing times of the film around the country.
Yeah.
But anyway. So then, as it turns out, that through some negotiations, through some democracy, they have been basically prepping up Susie Bannion.
Just your loathing for the word democracy then
was. They're prepping up Susie Bannion to be the vessel to put the aged mother Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To put who's like one of the ancient witches of the coven, who's like all saggy and also played by Tilda Swinton as well. As if maybe she thought like she'd get 3 paychecks for playing 3 different characters. I don't know. So they want to make Susie Bannion the vessel, thinking that this will also help to bring about the return of one of the witch mothers. It's all very confusing. And then what proceeds then is things go incredibly off the rails. As actually it turns out that Susie Bannion has actually been the villain all along. And she actually is the reincarnation of one of the 3 witch mothers. Marcus proceeds to slice off Tilda Swinton's head, but not quite. Like it's still hanging on by a thread, basically. And then in a gloriously violent scene, Susie Bannion goes into full like murder mode, and she summons death. Like that's what it's credited on as like in the credits.
Oh, right,
like,
yeah.
So she summons death to basically go around and murder all the witches who are taking part in the ritual, exploding the heads of all the supporters of the Marcus sect of the Witch Coven, keeping alive all the Tilda Swinton members.
Supporting ones,
yeah.
So basically, we support the Tilda Swinton coup.
The Blanc, is she called? Like Madame Blanc?
Madame Blanc. Yeah, we support the Madame Blanc coup.
We're the Blancites.
You've shown your hatred of democracy.
Democracy. In fact, at one point, the Doctor even goes into like the politics of a witch coven and says like there are Blancites and Markites, which made me chuckle. Yeah. I mean, it's an insanely violent scene. Like there's like intestines being pulled out, and like it gets it gets intense, and you can feel how awkward it was in our little 30-seat cinema.
Set over a beautiful Tom York song.
Oh yeah.
Like I love the sort of dissonance between how like nice his songs sound and just how bloody and horrible like the actual stuff on screen is. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, it's good though. It's not like a bad dissonance. It feels really dreamlike and creepy, like it should do. Like.
And you remember it
exactly, yeah.
And again, it stands in really great contrast to the original film, which is a bombast in the soundtrack. And you know, every time there's a murder in the original film, that great piece of music plays, and do 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 do. You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in complete contrast. You've kind of got this atmospheric as I affectionately call him, Thom Yorkie. You've kind of got like Tom York soundtrack played over, and you remember it, like, you know, it's different.
Yeah.
So it's very different.
It is very different. It feels like a film that will only be appreciated later on. Like
yeah.
They'll be like the defender. Well, we're defending the film.
We're defending the film. Yeah.
It's not gone down. Well, it has gone down terribly, and so it's one of them films where it's like 5s and 1s kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna have a better reputation. Like I'd rather watch this than like other films I've watched this year. Like, well, God's sake. I mean, like, how can you have like Avengers: Infinity War? What's that got? Like 90%. Like
yeah, right. Yeah.
This, like the worst review you can find will say like, oh, it's a little bit derivative of the other ones or something. Like this is like a genuinely like it feels new and original, and exciting, and like it's everything you want from a film. Like
people don't know what they want until they don't get it.
Exactly.
Basically, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate problem. I say, I'm pretty sure the film's gonna have a strong afterlife because there are a lot of vocal supporters for it on the internet. But again, that's kind of the problem with the internet, is that people are just gonna look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, see 67%, and you'll be like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that. It's just another horror remake," of which it definitely is not just another horror remake. It's way more.
Way more, yeah. Has it made you want to watch the guys? You've not seen Call Me by Your Name, have you?
I've not. No, it's on my list. I've still not seen it, but yeah, I want to see more of this guy's films. I've heard it's almost like the last thing you'd expect this guy to make as a Suspiria remake.
His other ones are like people walking around Italy in like shorts talking about like you know, like, oh, isn't it bad aging, or isn't it bad being young, or like
isn't it bad that we're discriminated against for our feelings? Yeah.
Well, it's actually quite like Call Me by Your Name is a similar kind of like, you know, you've got like great soundtrack by another indie artist, Sufjan Stevens. In that case, it's sort of more sort of like it's about the emotion, the feel. It's like this big mood piece. The setting there is like a big part of it, like it is here. Like, how great is the actual set for the school itself?
Oh yeah. Again, I mean, we don't even touched upon the art design, but like, again, in comparison to how fairy tale like the ballet school is in the original film, this is again, it's kind of got all like drab atmosphere, and you don't really ever get a good sense of the geography of the place either, which I like as well, because you don't really know kind of where you are, like how characters end up in this location. Which, the original film kind of does establish pretty much all that stuff fairly well. But this one, you kind of just left wondering. I mean, I love the set, the 360-degree mirror set. Yeah. Which is absolutely phenomenal piece of design. All of it's phenomenal design. So
go see Suspiria.
Go see Suspiria. Yeah, you know, we try and double its budget in box office returns to at least spur people on to go see it.
Hashtag fund Inferno.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, see, I want to see you guys take on Inferno. And even if you can't see it in the cinema, I think it's pretty much going to be on video on demand soon.
Yeah, check it out on Amazon Prime. I'm sure it'll be on there if Amazon Studios have made it. So
yeah.
But yeah, well recommended. It's as good as a horror remake has ever been. Like, what are great horror remakes? The Day of the Dead remake. There we go. There's a great one. Night of the Living Dead by Tom Savini.
Tom Savini, yeah.
But no, great movie.